We tend to divide the world into two categories. Those of us who believe, and we imagine that we believe all the time 100%. And those who doubt or those who disbelieve, and we imagine that they disbelieve 100%. And maybe they would like to pretend that they do, and maybe they'd like to communicate to us that they do. But my guess is that most of us are a mixture of both. Most of us are a mixture of faith and doubt. And I would encourage you to try to create an environment in your group this week where you can have an honest conversation about your faith and what causes you to believe, and your doubt and what causes you to doubt, and what strengthens your faith. I love John Ortberg's book. In fact, my goal for my teaching this week was to get my people to read the book No Doubt by John Ortberg. I ordered a stack of them for my people. Turns out they didn't show up in time. Amazon told me they'd be there on time, but they didn't show. They'll show up today, supposedly. But we'll pass them out next week. But I'm going to encourage a good number of my people. I'm hoping I can talk half of them into reading John Ortberg's book, No Doubt. And he starts this book by saying, I'll tell you a secret. I have doubts. Do you have doubts? I think we need to get honest about this. And John Ortberg, I appreciate what he says. He says, I have doubts. I have spent my life studying and thinking and reading and teaching about God. I grew up in the church. I went to a faith-based college and then to seminary. I walked the straight and narrow. I have never sowed my wild oats, but I have doubts. I will tell you more than that. There is a part of me that after I die, if it turns out all to be true, the angels are singing, death is defeated, the roll is called up yonder, and I am there. There is a part of me that will be surprised. What do you know? It is true after all, because I have doubts, John Ortberg says. Is it okay if we ask questions and consider objections and wonder out loud? And I think we should, and I think you should, in your class this week, allow people to wonder out loud and create an atmosphere where they can do so. Is it okay if we don't pretend that everybody is split up into two camps, those who doubt and those who don't? Is it possible, maybe even rational, to have faith in the presence of doubts? Because I have faith too, and I have bet the farm, and I do have faith, and I do believe, and I too have bet the farm. But I also have some doubts. And so that's what we want to talk about today. Here's our first verse, John 11, verse 25. Jesus said to her, and I paused as I read this yesterday and said, do you know what story this is? And I encourage you to look it up, have your people look it up for themselves, and they can see what story this is. The story of the raising of Lazarus. John 21 chapters in the book of John, about half of it devoted to the cross and the resurrection and that story. About half of it to the final week of Jesus. And so we're picking up into that final week. It is this miracle that caused the Pharisees to want to kill Jesus. And so we're picking up in that story here. In John 11, 25, Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this? And I read that classic quote to my people, what I call the poached egg, Lewis's poached egg. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you here, but I would encourage you to read that to your people. Encourage them to see if they can find it. Get on the phone and Google C.S. Lewis poached egg, and I believe you'll be able to find it. The big idea is that Jesus was either a lunatic on the level of a man who is a poached egg, or he was a liar, a deceiver. C.S. Lewis calls it something worse, a deceitful person, or he was Lord. Just the last line of this. But let us come away with any patronizing nonsense about Jesus being a great human teacher. He has not left that open to us. He did not intend to. And what Lewis is talking about there is statements like this. If I were to stand